few years ago, Sheila, a close friend of mine, was going through a tough time. She had recently lost both her husband and her job, and she was in a state of depression. Despite her struggles, Sheila was like a diamond in the rough. No matter how bad things were, she always put on a brave face for her 2 children and never let them see her pain. One day last fall, we were talking, and with Christmas slowly approaching, Sheila burst into tears. She didn't think she would be able to make Christmas happen that year. I was staying with her at the time and tried to keep her positive, reminding her that she wasn't alone. I suggested she sell a few items she no longer used. It would be a great way to declutter and make some extra money for Christmas. Sheila reluctantly agreed, and I offered to help her upload the items to Craigslist and other seller websites. Sheila, being a good mother, didn't want to disappoint her 2 beautiful children, so she agreed to sell off some of her and her late husband's possessions. She took photos of everything from garden furniture to DIY tools and fishing gear. One of the most valuable items was a solid oak table she had in the main living area. Soon, Sheila began receiving several calls, and people came to view the listed items. Many were sold, and Sheila started feeling more optimistic about the Christmas season. I saw a spark in her that I hadn't seen in a long time. She began to believe everything would be okay. About a week later, Sheila received a call about the oak table. It was listed for $1,000, so there hadn't been much interest in it until a man named Derek called. He said he would pay the asking price without hesitation and asked if she would reserve it for him. He explained that he worked late, so he'd likely come by after dark. At the time, Sheila was still in a vulnerable state, and selling this table would make all the difference for the Christmas her family was going to have, so she agreed. She told him he could come by anytime, as long as he called in advance. I wasn't with Sheila the night Derek called to say he was on his way, but she told me later what happened. Derek arrived around 9 p.m., but instead of pulling his pickup truck into the driveway, he parked it at the bottom. Sheila found this odd, but didn't think much of it at the time. When Derek walked up the path and knocked on the door, Sheila greeted him. As he stepped inside to see the table, she noticed 2 men standing by the gate at the bottom of the driveway. "Are they with you?" Sheila asked. "Yeah, they're here to help me move the table," Derek replied. "I'll call them in once I've seen it." Although Sheila felt somewhat reassured by only allowing 1 man inside, she still had an uneasy feeling about the situation. During their phone conversation, Derek had been adamant about wanting the table, so much so that Sheila began to wonder if she had underpriced it. But despite this thought, she was willing to let it go to ensure her children had the Christmas they deserved. Derek spent a lot of time inspecting the table, checking for scratches, and asking numerous unrelated questions. In the middle of their conversation, his phone vibrated. He looked at it and said he needed to speak to his wife, as the table was meant to be a gift for her. He then abruptly left, declining Sheila's offer to knock $200 off the price. When he walked out, Sheila noticed his 2 friends were no longer by the gate. Derek got into the passenger side of the truck and they drove off. Sheila later told me that her gut feeling told her something was wrong. After checking on her kids, who were fast asleep, she realized Bruno, the family dog, was missing. Panicking, she called me and I rushed over. We searched the house, the garden, the street, and even Bruno's usual walking route, but he was nowhere to be found. Sheila was shaking, and I did my best to calm her down. Her late husband had installed CCTV around the house, including cameras at the gate posts. Reviewing the footage, we discovered that while Derek was inside, the other 2 men had circled around to the back door, which had been left unlocked. They snuck in, took Bruno from his bed, and put him in their truck. We assumed that once they had the dog, one of them texted Derek, signaling him to leave abruptly. We called the police, who came to collect the CCTV footage and take a statement. Sheila was heartbroken. Bruno had been with her children their whole lives, and he was like family. When the footage was reviewed, it captured a blurry image of the vehicle's license plate, though it wasn't entirely clear. We hoped the police would have the technology to enhance the image. 3 weeks passed without any updates. Then on Christmas Eve morning, Sheila received a call from the police. They had located the vehicle, and when they visited the associated address, found 7 dogs that had been reported missing, including Bruno. The officers didn't share many details, but they mentioned that these men were professionals who had been watching Sheila's home. They had photos of the house, Bruno, and even the children on one of their phones. That afternoon, we were able to go and bring Bruno home. Sheila, the children, and I were overjoyed to have him back. Nothing is more important at Christmas than family, and for Sheila, Bruno was family. Later, when reviewing the photos we had posted online of the table, we noticed something we hadn't seen before. Bruno was in the background of one of the pictures. Before we move on to the next story, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever experienced something similar? If so, please share your experience in the comments section. I read all your comments and try to reply to everyone. Additionally, I will feature some of your experiences in my next videos. As I've grown older, I've come to the realization that the true monsters of this world can often be found among human beings. This story takes place back in 2021, a time when my life took a chilling turn. A breakup led me to desperately search for a new place to live, and that's when I stumbled upon a Craigslist ad for an apartment. Little did I know this would lead to a terrifying encounter. The breakup with my boyfriend left me in a hurry to find a new place. I came across an apartment that seemed decent enough, even though it was located in a less than ideal neighborhood and slightly above my budget. My need for a quick escape outweighed my pickiness, so I decided to meet with the owner. The man, who appeared to be in his late 50s, greeted me warmly as we entered the single house he was renting out. Despite his friendly demeanor, an unsettling feeling settled in my gut the moment I stepped inside. Sometimes your instincts send you strong signals, and mine were flashing danger. During my unease, I followed the owner through the kitchen, living room, and bedroom. The place was sparsely furnished and needed some work, but what caught my attention were the peculiar symbols adorning the corners of the walls. I questioned the owner about them, to which he dismissively chuckled, telling me not to worry. As our tour continued, we arrived at the basement door. The owner's demeanor shifted, his excitement palpable. He swung the door open to reveal complete darkness and a pungent, repulsive odor. An immediate sense of dread washed over me, and I instinctively took a step back. He placed his hands on my lower back, urging me toward the dark abyss, insisting I experience the best part. The feeling of malevolence emanating from that basement was unmistakable. Courtesy be damned, I needed to escape this situation. I quickly fabricated an excuse about needing to use the bathroom and raced out of the house, my heart pounding. Safely inside my car, I sped away. Glancing in my rearview mirror, the owner was still standing by the window, watching me intently. Something deep within me urged me to take action. With my father being a police officer in a nearby town, I dialed him immediately and shared my concerns. The following day, 2 officers were dispatched to the house. What they discovered was beyond horrifying. The basement held the lifeless bodies of 3 young women, aged 19 to 27. The depth of this man's evil was staggering. Investigations led to his other properties, where equally gruesome discoveries were made. His sinister pattern involved luring victims through Craigslist, showcasing the properties, and leading them to their demise in the basement. This man, now infamously known as the Craigslist Killer, had been lurking in plain sight, preying on unsuspecting victims. My experience serves as a reminder that our intuition should never be ignored. Had I disregarded mine, I might not be here sharing this harrowing tale. It's crucial to trust your instincts, exercise good judgment, and always stay vigilant of your surroundings. If you find these stories chilling, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more gripping tales. Share your story in the comments below. I love to hear your experiences. Stay safe, and thanks for watching.